All right, guys, we are going to New Zealand now. New Zealand. Let's go and look at New Zealand US dollar. NZD USD, 4-hour time frame, Rwanda broker. Now, I want to discuss this because one of you sent me a video about this. Sent me a work on this, and I was asking for interpretation, and the person disappeared. So I am going to now look at it. So we are 4-hour time frame, exactly the time frame one of you who sent that message. So we're going to look at it. So I'm going to zoom in now. So we look at confluence again, trend line confluence, support and resistance trend line confluence. All right. Okay, so first I am going to start with the trend line that the person sent me. All right. The person connected this point A, call this a point A, connect it to point B. All right. I told you there's no trend line that is wrong. Okay. But most of the time I don't use this kind of trend line. Why? Because these two places, they are too close. All right. And that's what I explained in the assignment I gave to you. All right. Instead of that, I will use support and resistance here for these points. So, but there's no problem. Like I told you, there's no trend line that is actually wrong. It's how you use it. That's why when he sent it to me, I did not say it's wrong. I say, give me your interpretation. Your interpretation will determine, because we cannot see, we can see one similar thing in different ways. All right, it doesn't matter as far as we use it the way that is relevant and give us results. It's fine. All right. So, all right. So I want to actually take the two highs. Normally, what I will do is mostly look at, okay, I want to, from the first one, I want to teach it, let it touch the high of the second one, and then I extend it. I don't care about any other one, just extending it. All right, I've done that. So let me extend it properly. I want to extend it more properly. So using that, making sure that it's touching properly. Okay. I touch it, the second one. I'm looking at the second point. So I want to extend it. This is exactly what you do. Sometimes you ask me if you, on the body, on the whatever, whichever works for you, use it. All right, but I told you that they are usually similar. There won't be much difference. Explain to you, there will not be much difference. So don't bother where you are touching or where you are not touching. Those things are just textbook setup. All you need to do is the ability for you to identify a very fine, correct trend line. All right. One save, I'm saying. All right. Okay, so that is the first point. So I'm going to use this to really, maybe this video, because I'm going to have maybe about 3 trend line. Yeah, so it's going to be part 1, 2 to 3 for this particular one, maybe. All right, so what I want to do is for us to go and see, to be sure that it touched those points very well. All right, the way it's supposed to. Let's go. Let's zoom in so that, okay, they are touching. All right, you can see. All right, this is how I draw it, the trend line. So it's touching here and it's touching top of this place. So we have a fine trend line. Remember, what you need to understand is that the assumption you make in order for you to be able to learn from what has happened, from where the market is, and determine what is going to happen next, is that when you have, now we're using the one that has already played out completely, because we can't use the one that have not played out, so that we cannot be waiting for days or weeks. So this is, when this happened, we take this as resistance, 1 point resistance. When this happened, now we're considering it as a trend line because they sloped a bit. They didn't slope the way I would have loved it to slope. All right. So we take it. So it means that it is only when this high was created and market begin to move down this way that we took the trend line. What does it mean? It means that the rest place has not played out. Nothing has happened from here. Has not happened in the market from here onwards. Didn't happen yet. Okay. That is how you should focus when you are drawing trend line that has already created a lot of things. All right. The market price action has already done a lot of activities after it happened. So now we draw to trend line, focusing on this touch and this touch alone. We extend it. So it is based on here we start making our decision, try to find out. For instance, now you want to draw support and resistance. And I told you, look at this first 2 points is the point. So where are those points of support and resistance? Immediately these 2 points formed. The first thing you see, the first thing you notice is this area. All right, this area. Look at this. Look at this point. Look at this point. All right. So what do? You pick it as your area. Remember, before the second point of touch happened, all these places has already happened. So it's obvious and you can see them. All right. So you pick. So what are we going to do now? We want to consider, we have this point. We also have this point. Remember, you can use 1 point, even if it's only 1 point that you have. All right. But here we happen to have 2 points. So what do? We want to connect those 2 points. All right. We want to do what? Connect those 2 points. We want to connect those 2 points. So let me pick the 2. Pick the 2. Maybe I should use green color this time around. So picking these 2 points, look at the 2 lowest points here. So I pick them, touching the lowest point. So I'm using it. See, we have this touch here. We have this one here. All right. I hope you got that. You got that point. That is it. Before, just immediately after the distance. So we are looking for another. Remember, we say fishing. Fishing means that you want to represent support and resistance. All right. Anywhere you see them, in order to see if you can find some help. So if you are following that now, look at this point. Look at this point. All right. Look at this point. Deforming what? Resistance turn support. So what do? We mark that. I think I say I want to change the color. Change the color. Let's change this to green. I think I change it to green so that it can stand out. Right. So what I want to do here is this fishing method. I say this is the method you use before you learn to understand. Okay, sorry, that here is before the point. Okay, before the point. So before the point, what we have is just here, this particular one. That's before the point. All right, this is what we have. So when this point formed, we are not having this here as support. We only have this resistance. Okay, look at here, it's formed as previous support around this area, and here it's also serving as support. So we are good. All right. So we are good. Are we? Yes, we are. Okay, that's how you do your fishing. But from what you can see, you don't have any those points we use now. They are just lying empty, no decision. But you are just trying to fish. All right. So what the next place is here. All right. The next point what is here. Remember, all these things form one after the other. The next point is here. So that next point is here. This point. So we are going to mark it out. I think we mark it out first. This is what we have. Okay, let's say after here, from let's say these 2 points, we are considering them. So we use this shorter one. All right. So when we put our support and resistance here, what do we have? We have this touch here. All right. We are still having this touch in between here, and we are having this touch here. All right. So we are good. All right. This is the next place. This is the next place. Just pay attention and make sure you study the video very well. Pay attention. This is the next place we have. The next high we have after that. Remember, we are fishing, we're just marking everywhere. I'm marking here. What do you observe? What do you observe here? After marking here. After marking here, you observe that here is also turning at area of what? Of support. All right, area of support. After marking this, area of support. Now look at this bounce, this pause here. This pause here is also captured. Somehow was captured. Remember, we are fishing. Remember, we are fishing, right? So I want to show that point very well. You see, these points of pause. Remember, pause what and reversal. This is pause. It paused and then continued. It didn't reverse. Paused. So that's why they are also important. So we see what we have here. So now let's pay attention to this. Let's pay attention to this. In doing this, you observe something. You come to observe something that happened. I'm coming. Remember, I use this point. Don't be confused. I'm coming. I'm just marking every area that we saw as support and resistance. Remember, the reason is that you want to, you marked everything so that you can find out when you have intersection. All right, that is the point. Then if you look at this place, you now see this very beautiful, very close intersection, very close, but you can notice what happened. What happened is that we have a trend line here, and then we had a trend line here. You can see that. We had a trend line here, and we have an area of a potential area of resistance. That is when price was below here. Potential area of resistance we have. Remember, we draw it from this point, so we extended to this point. So we're waiting here. Do you see how close that support? This support and resistance zone is close to the trend line. All right. Now, did you notice what happened after a break? I mean, after a break above this support, this resistance, and it hits, because they are so close. Did you see what happened? Did you see the candlestick patterns there? Let's zoom in for that. Did you see the candlestick pattern? Did you see a shooting star? Did you see, and after that there is another one that formed? That is a morning star. A morning star formed within that zone when that happened. A morning star formed here. Did you see shooting star? Did you see morning star? Even the shooting star can double as a bullish. Okay, this is not that cloud, but more like a bullish harami, which happened at a zone. All right, not a continuation because it's reversal. But then the shooting star is powerful. Look at the candle. Shooting star is worth it, is it not? All right. This is a morning star that formed immediately after that, meaning that if you are taking your trade here and put your stop loss above the wick, all right, you will still not be taken out. Market comes back, but it didn't take you out. Instead, it formed a morning star. And if you didn't take it at that point, immediately that morning star formed, more confirmation, you are taking it from almost at the same point of entry that is going to be. Did you see that? So it still would have worked. So remember that all these things, you put this in advance. When you see this area, close area of the intersection, you are watching out for it. You want to see what is going to happen. All right. Now, before I go further, I'm going to tell you, look at this point. Look at from this point, look at area of intersection here. All right. Those are places you are watching out for. But remember that you can see that nothing happened there. But after marking it, these are the area you are watching out for. But you can see that nothing actually happened there. Areas of intersection, you are working out closely for all these places where trend lines intersect. All right. You are watching out for them. This is what you are watching out. So this is fishing. You can see that all this one, nothing happens. Like your hook didn't catch fish here. All right, until this point. Okay. So, but you won't know if you don't have all these things. You are watching when price is here, around here. You are watching out and say, okay, I want to see if price is going to come here. The same thing here. You want to see what price is going to happen here. And then this here. And then this point was close as well as this point, you see. All right, so that's why it is fishing. You are fishing. You are waiting for what will happen if price get to that place after you mark it down. So you can only take advantage of this point. You would have been able to take advantage of this point if you marked it in advance and you are waiting. Remember, you started with these two points, first point and second point. That is where that took your trend line. All right. After fishing by marking all the support and resistance zones, you are watching for the market. You want to see what market will happen. If market activities played out around that area. So it's not everywhere that will play out, but just one point or some few points that will play out. All right. But for you to be able to identify it properly, it is when you are good with doing the hard work to understand and study the market and see how it plays out, and you're able to mark out properly. That is when you are able to capture something. So within the area until intersection, you can see what here, even though it is not exactly intersection like it usually happen, but you are able to take advantage of this zone where they are, because this zone is also a confluence, but not exact confluence like proper intersection, because you are waiting for. It's like a man who is tired. He has been working now. He's getting close to this place. He's so tired. If you're able to take out this obstacle, will you be able to take out the other obstacle? So if you watch this complete zone here, you see it's a zone where you have another resistance here. That is the zone where, so you're probably watching out for candlestick pattern. Study this thing as it happens so that you can always know exactly how to take action. Remember, it is when you are trying them out, in the end of the day, you're able to learn and understand how these things plays out in reality in your brain, that will help you to understand it's time to take the trade. All right, so let's go. So now, remember, this is where we marked, and this place caught here. All right, so we are coming down because there's something I will show you I will tell you when we get to this point again. So the next thing we do is to mark the next zone. So you look at now this place. Okay, here now, this place took place. All right, this high, it took place. In fact, there are a lot of things to mark. That's why I say it's not about marking everything. This is learning process. When you learn, you might not be able to be marking. You will just be able to determine the point where you are looking for, the important points. All right. But this is, if you don't do this fishing, you guys will not understand it. That's the reason why we needed to do fishing, so that you'll not be asking, how would we know where? It is after you have used fishing to understand how the chart works, that's when you will be able to always know where. All right. When you have learned, understand it like back of your hand, that's only when you always know where. Do you get to the point I'm trying to make? All right. So I pick this point, this point here, and I mark my support and resistance. So I mark it here. Remember, I might be removing some of them, but when I do so, you guys will have to always rewind back to watch, zoom out, and do all that to watch. So we did this. This almost captured these points, but still within the zone. If we mark it, if we should be marking it, right? If we should be marking it, can still be within the zone. All right. So mark this. So let's now examine, do we have any effect? Of course, we have effect in the past, into the future, like that, into the future. So, but pay attention, because there's another point, the points I'm trying to also make. All right. So I can decide to mark these points and these points. I'll pick here the shorter one. All right, the shorter one here. I pick it. Remember, we are marking the place that has happened, just the way it's playing out. Look at here. Of course, this place would have happened before here. I didn't just pay attention to here. It didn't come to this point. All right, this place would have happened before here. So here would have come into place. And if you see this, you see there is a reaction here. There's a reaction here. Please pay attention to that. Then after that, where else? Now this place, we are fishing, guys. All right. For these two places will happen. This place and this place would have happened. Now, when this place happened, you may have put it here first, and you see it corresponding to here, or this point, even though no significant whatever happened. Then after this happened, then this one happened. You say, okay, let me take these two places as place of support and resistance. You take it. You cannot take it back here. All right. This is exactly fishing, 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 and fishing mentality are doing. I'm just showing you exactly how you, because some of you were asking, how do we know? You don't just know. It is by studying, because when you mark all these things, some of them you leave them out and they come out to actually play like that. Can decide to take here this point like this. You see, it capture here proper and also here. You see that? And then I can decide to mark out, to also mark out this point. All right, this point. Now you could find out that this thing is not marking up. You can find out that all here they didn't really give us anything, but these are part of when you are fishing. You throw your hook or your nets. Not everything will catch. All right. So we follow from down here like this, the way it has happened. So we are now coming back to what when, like here now. Remember we marked here. All right. And marked here. All right, so coming back now, discover that here was close to here. In fact, the fundamentals are support and resistance here around this zone, like that. But what about here? What about here? This point. You remember, it is now that these points are playing out. Here, there's nothing we can do about here. In fact, actually, we can. Okay, no, let's come like this. So this place happened before here. All right. That's why I told you, when you are doing everything, your chart is going to be dirty. Assuming you are pointing here as point of support, like that. Of course, he acted as support here and all that. All right. Then after here, this is when this place played out. This place played out. So we are taking this zone as area of resistance. Okay. This is the next place that played out. This is how the market will be doing it, because the market, all the one that happened around this area wouldn't have happened. All right. Yet we are coming as the trend come this way. The trend came down this way. Look at what we're trying to show. The market, the trend. Sorry, this thing did not pick. The trend came down like this. This is how it came and started going like this. You see, so it is at this point that it created this. All right, this area. That's what we're marking here now. Do you get the point I'm trying to make? All right, so we mark there now. So the thing is, let's look into the future and see whether anything happened there after we drop that line. Nothing much actually happened, although there is small breakout and retest here, but nothing much that will help us in terms of confluence. Now, after this point happened, what is the next point that happened? This point. This point happened. Remember, you have already judged this point based on here, this point, that's having a confluence here. So we're not using this place. This place has happened based on the first confluence we talked about after we marked this zone. So the market came into this type zone. All right. Like you learn that the market, after dealing with this one, it might not have so much power to finish up with this one and keep going up. All right. Because they are so close, not that they are far apart, they are so very, very close. All right. So now, this high, after this happened, we have a high created here now. This high created here. So we can pick this. All right. We can pick this as a high. Do you get my point? We can pick this as a high. But there are two here. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. You see, this point at this point, we can pick this extreme. We can decide to pick it so that it rhyme like the two. Whatever you do, there's only going to be small difference. Let's pick the first point. This here, only here alone. Let's take it. This thing not dropping now. Did I not pick? Let me see now. All right. Now we pick this one. Let me change it so that it will not be, so that we want to zoom. Let me change it to big red. Let me increase this thing so that it will be outstanding. So that it will be outstanding in our eyes. So that it will be outstanding. Because I want to. All right. Look at what happened at that point. If we pick this point, remember we're picking it because this after the market created this high. So you can see what happened here is that this remember this one has not happened. Pay attention. This is what happened. So assuming we pick it after this high has been created, this is what we have. So we see forming even a resistance with this zone. All right, this point then. All right, it's still forming resistance with it. But look at what happened. Wait for the market after this has happened. All right, because this has already, when this came and happened, we're picking it. All right, with the reference, this is where the market is now. So we want to see how we can use it to make decision in the future, right? Now pay attention to this point. After this happened, there is our trend line here, but there is strictly, apart from this support, this resistance zone, there is another resistance zone here. You can see trend line, after it deals with it, there is a resistance he has to do, which is this one, and there's another resistance here that he has to also deal with. See our point here. Did you see that? All right. So now when the market came here, when we have this one, we have the trend line, then we have, this is what you pay attention to very well. We have a trend line here. We have another resistance zone. Remember, the market has not come here. After the market hit here, after we have represented, because after we represent it here, the market has just come, did this high. It has not done all this one, but it has done this high, and we pick it. But we notice that from our work in the past, we have a resistance here. All right. We have a trend line here. All right. And we have a further resistance above it. So we have these three lines. So we are paying attention to, because this is another type of confluence. We are paying attention to what the market will do within this general zone. So what are you watching for? Watching out for candlestick pattern. You are watching out for what? Candlestick pattern. You are watching out for what? Candlestick pattern within that zone. Within that zone. When you have learned and even understand all these things very well, you are watching for either candlestick pattern, if the market breaks here and here, all right, close to this one, even if it not touch here, because this whole area is within the zone we are looking at. So, but now, look at what happened. What kind of pattern got formed at that point? All right. So this is a variation of evening star. This is a variation of what? Evening star. I think there's a time I mentioned morning star instead of evening star. I think in this video, it's something like that. So guys, I'm just correcting myself now. Maybe if I can remember, I will put it in. If I remembered, that means I've already used a text to indicate evening star at that point when I said that thing. So you see that. And what do you notice after this confluence? See, guys, it's not only one kind of confluence that you have. Remember, this work, I'm doing it based on one of you worked with it, and I want to play, because I say interpret, the person did not interpret. All right. So you can see what's going on after the confluence here. All right, after the confluence here. And did you notice that every breakout and retest goes down after that confluence? Every breakout and retest kept going down up until where the market is now. Did you see that? All right. This is exactly how to fish. And when I talk about interpretation, let me throw more light in terms of interpretation. When I say interpretation, most of you, maybe you are confused. Like the guy that sent this work originally, maybe he got confused. He didn't get back to me when I talk about interpret it so that I understand. Interpretation means that you are telling me how you would use it, how you would have used it to make decision. Remember, if I'm talking about making decision, remember that after you did this, I mean, you use this point and this point to create your trend line. Of course, you observe the way I did it. Every other person will also observe the way I did it to create your trend line. You are going to interpret from now, after the trend line has been created, you are going to interpret what you would have done up to this point, then up to this point, up to this point. That is the interpretation we're talking about. That is the what? The interpretation. Interpret it. Tell me now you have point A, connected point A and point B to extend it to create the trend line. All right. Then you will come and draw this. All these are support and resistance. You don't need to explain them in one by one. All these are support and resistance. The next thing you need to do is to come and begin to tell me about the points of intersection or zones that you could have make use of after the trend line had been created. All right, just using the trend line. All right. So how you would have traded your support and resistance. That, I mean, with your support and resistance or confluence of the confluences where they occur, which include even at this point now. Look at this point now, because this is the 2 points. When market came here, you draw your trend line. All right. And you drew your trend line. All right. So what you're going to be telling me is futuristic terms. At this point, you can't tell me you'll be trading this point with this trend line. Why? Because this particular, with this support, I break out and retest for this support. All right. Because this red line was drawn based on referencing to this point, meaning that this place has happened. There's no way you would have traded here because it has not happened. It was when after that happened, you join it together to construct a support here. A resistance here. All right. You get my point, the point I'm trying to make. Remember when I interpreted how I would have traded here after we draw this particular support and resistance, support on resistance, this line now, support on resistance. Meaning that we draw it when price was here. All right. So we are looking at the trend line we already have and this resistance here that we have. We want to see what will happen if price eventually played and come back to it. So we are paying attention because this is the area where this support or resistance actually almost intersected very close proximity, creating a zone with this trend line we have here. So we want to see if action is going to take place. Just like we said, you would have been ready, like in this point, you would have been ready. You want to be ready to know what you do. Had the price came to this point, all right? That's how you get ready. You don't know exactly where it's going to happen, but you shall know when you enter a particular zone, you know what you are expecting. So the interpretation would have been, after that, you are telling me that at this point, you use reference to this horizontal zone and this trend line to say after it has happened now, you are saying, you say, okay, say after you have drawn them, that as the price came into this zone where the support and trend line or resistance and trend line actually interacted, you would have been waiting to take it after a candlestick pattern that shows you a reversal, because you are expecting that price will not be able to actually bust through this place and keep going up. You expect price to actually reverse from this point. So as it came back into it, so you'll be waiting for candlestick confirmation for that. And that is where you saw that one we talked about, shooting star and even an evening star. That's the place I called morning star before. That's an evening star. Let's see it again. That's an evening star, not a morning star, sorry. A morning star is a bullish reversal, but an evening star is a bearish reversal. So here we're anticipating bearish reversal. All right. So you saw it. That is your leverage to take the trade. All right. To take the trade. And somebody who is an interpretation, somebody would have told me, okay, look at this. We didn't mark out. Look at this at this point. We didn't mark out this as point of support. I'll be using red line around this here. This point of support. So if you take this trade here, you are exiting it either here. Look at another support. Immediately, that is after you took this trade, you would have been trying to exit the trade at this point that I'm marking now. You're expecting that after that happened from that area, there's going to be a major move, and you're expecting your exit here. Remember, this one formed first before this one came to form, before the zone even formed in the first place. So you are taking your profit, would have been waiting to exit here or here, And if you extend it further, you may have just lose the trade or not. At the end, you won't still have lost the trade. But what will be the criteria for you to extend it further? Extending it further, the criteria for extending it further is here. Let me denote it with red again. These are interpretation, how you would have traded it. I would have exited here. That is waiting for a resistance to turn support. We find out whether it happened. And another place of exit would have also been here. Let's go and find out whether they happen, because those are the appropriate places. But don't use bigger. You don't use don't be too much. And of course, all those points were hit. Did you see it? All those points were what? Were hit. Why did you use that? Because you are seeing that this area is a major point of confluence. All right, a major confluence area, not just break and retest of one particular support or resistance or one trend line, but a confluence of two. All right. That's it. That's the interpretation. And here too, you are interpreting to me. So you are interpreting to me based on the confluence of trend line, resistance, and another resistance. If you see a candlestick reversal here, that it will also show. And meanwhile, this would mean hitting here would mean equaling this point. In fact, in terms of candle closure, it closed higher than this, but before it reverses from a major resistance zone just after a support. So that also shows that the market is going to go down. So that will also determine where you will be putting as your TP area. So, but guys, forget about what the market is. Remember, the market actually exceeded this point, exceeded the points in terms of get to this point. But from the market setup, the best place to exit the trade, final place to exit the trade is this point. You can't be looking beyond here. You don't have any reason for market to go beyond here, but the market can go beyond here if it wants. So it's for you to know the exact turning point, the place you should be expecting. Don't say because I know the market will be no. The next action is going to the next thing is going to depend on what the market is doing. When you trade and get your profits here from that point, that's a very huge move. All right, you wait patiently and wait for another point. The market can come up and like this point now, but this retest and whatever. All right, you can wait for the market to become more clearer in terms of what it's doing for you to begin to take trade. But for me, I would have loved this market to come, even though it's not looking as if it's going to come to this point again. I will know that if I'm taking a trade, I would like to try to exit around this level again. From that point, I would like to exit around this level. Do you get it? Because the market came to this point or to this point and then shows me a reversal. So I will know from this point or from this point, I'm going to, or even from this point itself, it's still okay. That is huge coming down this way. All right. So that's what you do in terms of interpretation. That after you have drawn your trend line, now this is how you would have traded the market. You see, I marked all my zone, not caring about, not really watching about what has happened in the past. When I draw my zone, I can now come and look at it whether is it anything it would have given us something tangible in the past, and it will be that it gave us something tangible in the past. But you can also notice that there are a lot of places that did not give us any tangible place in the past. But what you will notice, what you find out is this: you find out that after this major area, because you see they are the same high, almost the same high, after this major area of interception, I intercepted where we have a good, very fine confluence, sometimes 2 or 3 confluences, all right. Market keep going down, and each time it came to retest a support or resistance, all right, each time it came to retest, it kept going down like that immediately after all this particular place. All right, it kept going down. For instance, now you see before this point, you see market retested here. Did it go down? No, it didn't really go down after the retest. And you see market retested here now. Did it really go down? No. All right. But immediately after those area of good confluence, the market when it comes and like here, it detected this, it became going down. It detected here, it kept going down. It detected here and kept what? Going down. And here is that detected this zone. Who knows? It might keep going down. But I've not analyzed this market, so I cannot tell whether you keep going down or not. So, guys, these are the way you learn, what you should learn, and the way you should interpret. So that should be for this part of this video. I will come with another, with second part